We'll now move on to our prepared speech. We only have one prepared speech today, and this is going to be an interesting one because, as mentioned in the chat and previously, we have several members who will be helping to engage Melanie with her speech. And I was going to deliver a 4 to 7 minute speech on any topic and practice responding to four. Actually, I have more than four, but assigned audience member disruptions. Audience members were assigned these roles prior to, well, rather during this meeting, and those of you I've reached out to you in the chat, or you've reached out to me, and you know who you are, and hopefully you know what you're tasked with doing. And so this will be and they will stop interrupting once the behavior that this person is engaging has been addressed. And this will be, and excuse me, Melanie has 10 to 15 minutes to deliver her what should be 5 to 7 minute speech and respond to disruptors. Green on 10, yellow on 12 and a half, red on 15, and burnt toast after that. Melanie completed the District 84 Thrive program. The topic was about V for volunteerism on a group who made an impact through volunteering. Please welcome Melanie and her interrupters on adaptation.
Have you been on a business trip and had to carry different adapters just to power up your phone and laptop? Mr. MC and fellow Toastmasters, type a yes or no in chat to let me know you're listening.
We shouldn't have to do that, Melanie. We are always listening.
Thank you, Rajiv, for that. We'll get to that a little bit later. And yes, I'm glad you are listening. Have you ever wondered how different life would be if the plugs and sockets in every country were the same? In South Africa and then later in Australia, I volunteered for a group that produces standards for software and systems engineering. And thank you to everyone for responding in chat. Today, I will share about this in this group. If you have questions or comments, jot them down and save them for the end. So I can pretend to answer them while slowly backing away. Back to producing standards. Before you go...
So what's a standard again?
Thank you, Marjane, for that question. We will get to that later in this segment. It is something that is really important to making sure everything is same across all of your different products.
I had a job one day. I had to write standards. You had to do
that? I hear someone. I think it's time to play everyone's favorite game. Whose mic is that? Whose mic is that? Please put yourself on mute. Thank you very much. So I acknowledge that our project manager invited us to the parent body. Thank you, Zoom host, for muting me there. So I acknowledge that our project manager invited us to the parent group by saying you are welcome to join, but it can be a bit like watching paint dry. Thank you, Garth. But I said yes. And before you judge me, I must say, working in corporate, unlike Stephanie's loving money, you have to take the drying paint moments with the artistic, creative, exciting moments. So maybe I took one for the team, or maybe I wanted to know what really happened up there. It helped that we were going somewhere interesting. The Kruger National Park, you know, with all of the wild animals. Raise your hand if you know where that is.
I don't know where that is. Do you know where that is? I've never been.
I hear someone commenting there. Yes. I think we can hear that later. I have a hand from Eve. Eve, did you have a question? Okay, we'll see that later. Thank you for that. Well, the Kruger National Park is a national park in South Africa, a beautiful place where you can see the big 5 animals. In my group, I had watched some mean country and personal brouhahas and wondered about the wisdom of getting warring groups into a room surrounded by wild animals. Well, thank you, Susan, for the hat and the celebrations, joining us in the party to the Kruger Park. I wondered about the wisdom about getting warring groups into a room surrounded by wild animals. And if anyone said, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here, maybe they would have been greeted by a lion or croc. And not the foot kind, and not the one Susan showing with her filters. So, Susan, thank you for that. We will maybe ask to see a little bit more about that later, but maybe you could stop doing that to stop distracting our audience. Thank you. And Charlotte,
Melanie,
oh, yes,
Melanie, why were you surprised 2 warring groups surrounded by wild animals? I mean, we are looking at 3 similar characteristics of groups, 3 groups of wild people.
Thank you, Rajiv, for that question. Remember the part where I said about skipping or waiting until the end? Rebel energy. Thank you for skipping that part. Respect, but please, can you hold that question to the end? We are going to address that question, but yes, obviously, yes, with multiple countries, we are going to have warring parties. And Charlotte, I guess you're a little bit quiet at the moment. Just checking, give me a high five if you're still with me. Did you want to say something? She's giving me a high five.
I don't know if this is the right place to say it or what, but I'd really like to know more about these animals, if you don't mind.
Well, let's pause on that, Charlotte, because we will talk more about the standards first and we can talk about the animals later. Because if I talk about the animals, there's more than the big 5, and we'll be here until the next Find Your Funny meeting. So thank you for that. We'll get to that later. So beyond my little world of software and systems, at the meeting, I heard about teams working on standards, such as the one used for picture, video, and audio files. And at that time, it was MPEG, the first version. The second area, programming languages. And then the third area, data storage formats. Remember CDs? And Blu-ray was the big thing. So yes, I'm old. So you might think standards are driven by the big corporates. It's not. A range of people come together, and the structures and governance are set up that votes belong to member countries, and each vote has equal value. Similar to how each club gets 2 votes at our district equivalent AGM and at our international equivalent AGM. So type in chat if you voted at a district council, yes or no. Yes, that's why we've got so many DTMs, because we've voted and we've been doing our district duty. All you need to do is join and show up. And each country can vote for or against moving a standard to the next stage, just like Toastmasters clubs can vote for or against motions, like what contests to include. So each country can vote for or against leaders at each area, just like Toastmasters clubs can vote for or against division directors and the trio. So give me a wave if you're still with me. Lots of waves on the screen. One that's looking away, he might be a little bit quiet. So I'll ask him if he can give me a high five. He seems to be very quiet. Yes, he's pointing to himself. Thank you. I'm glad you're listening. So no pressure, but the silence from our mystery guest star. He said hi to the episode. Apart from our project manager, a paid employee of the South African National Standards Body, the rest of us are volunteers. working together to develop a common standard to make life easier. No lock-in to a vendor or technology. Every vendor uses the same standard. We create interoperable devices, software, and approaches, even if it kills us to come to a consensus.
I bet it takes.
Before I crossed, I hear a noise there. Another time that we're playing, it's whose microphone is it anyway? Please put yourself on mute. Before I crossed over to the dark side, I sat at a breakfast table, a South African, negotiating the wording of the IT governance standard with my Australian counterpart. But now I live in Australia, so maybe South Africa is the dark side. Volunteers come from all areas, academia, corporate, consultants, and working with a team on software and systems engineering, then IT service management and governance, and business process outsourcing, we get to know each other very well. We also want to be the best hosts. In Canada, we were entertained by an amazing university orchestra. In Finland, we met the mayor. In Italy, we were taken to a World Heritage Site. And in India, we were taken on a tour of a large corporate campus. And there were billboards hiring 10,000 engineers. Does this kind of sound like the international convention and what they put out for us? We worked hard and played hard, sharing, but also developing cultural understanding and friendships. I never felt closer to that team than when we went to explore Moscow. Afraid of getting lost, we were glued to each other like a chain gang. This helped our Thai colleague, who was randomly questioned by the police. He has an American accent. Looking in on the latest website, I noticed some groups have closed, and there are new ones, many of them. The newest seems to be 43 for brain-computer interfaces. I invite you, take a moment to think of volunteers and how they've changed our lives. Thank the volunteers at our clubs, contests, trading, conferences, and even at work. Even your humor buddy. Raise your hand if you have volunteered. Actually, I see some hands not raised, but I'm sure they've all volunteered.
I must say, I volunteered in many better events
Knowing
than
this
you,
club.
Melanie.
Whether it's... Thank you, Rajiv, for that. Yes, we'll get to that at the end. Rebel energy once again and respect. It's great that you asked that question. So if you're one of those volunteers, pat yourself on the back and appreciate all you've gained from volunteering. Volunteers are the kings and queens of the I'm a celebrity jungle, and they make our world go round. And let's celebrate them during National Volunteer Week. Back to you, Mr. MC.
I must say this celebrating volunteers, it's not really nice. I mean, in the sense, these are the unpaid workers that flow around all of us and they get exploited.
Thank you, Rajiv. Yes, I agree. Some of them do get exploited. We've already heard that earlier in our headliner speech, but we'll bookmark that before we all spiral into a strategic tangent because of this big thing that you're opening up. So thank you, Rajiv, for a bit of a brouhaha, and back to our MC.